So I'm here in Nottingham at Wollaton Street Studios with Crazy P, this is Chris Todd and Jim Baron, and this is the original studio where you've been recording for many years, I believe. How long have you been here?
That's part 30.
Yeah, nigh on 30 years.
Probably a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit
So
more.
pretty much all the classic Crazy P moments have been made here.
Well, the majority of
Yeah,
them.
bar a couple. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I mean, they're steeped in history, and I guess, I mean, a lot of the same machines, and nothing much has particularly changed.
Well,
in
you can
additions
probably
over
see
the years.
nothing much has changed. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's but we were lucky to get this space sort of about 2000. What was it? About 2000. Year 2000.
Yeah,
would
it
have
was. Yeah, it was 2001.
been. It's got a nice control room. We've got a big live room next door. Fit the band in.
Yeah, exactly, because I mean, not everyone knows perhaps that Crazy P is also a full live band.
Yeah.
With Matt Close and Tim Davies on drums and bass, then they can easily plug in, jump on, and turn it into a band that could fill a big stage at a festival, or, as you say, record as a band on certain tracks. You right?
That's it. It's always
Yeah.
handy having that space.
Yeah.
And plus, there's something about where this is. You're sort of in town, but you feel kind of untouchable. You kind of up a few flights of stairs, big heavy metal door at the bottom.
Yeah.
And you know, you can make as much noise as you want. And it's just, it's a good place to be. We've been lucky to get it.
And as well as your history, the building and these studios are also steeped in Nottingham history, because at the time, I believe there were other crews, other people that was in the building. Like, who else has been in the studios over the years?
And we've had directly above us we had Inland Nights.
Yeah.
For quite a long
And
time.
Inland Nights were also on 2020 Vision, of
you
course.
know, yeah, and you know, very, very kind of big characters of the early
Lawrence and Andy. From
Lawrence and
Inland
Andy,
Nights,
and we've had Bent as well for a period of time, directly opposite us. Actually, they were downstairs first, and then they came upstairs. And Schmoove as well. John and Andre, and their record label.
So it's been a kind of hotbed of Nottingham.
When we first moved in
music.
here, when we first came, the first few years, it was quite a kind of a rich time in Nottingham music history, you know, with lots of.
It was all happening.
It was all happening.
We were young and sort of, you know, fancy free. You know, it was a good time. It was a very good ethos here in the building.
And do you think the ethos was also part in the city from DIY and the House of Free Party Collective?
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, even in terms of the tune we're going to talk about today, you know, it was a bit of borrowed kit from Simon, from Bent, you know, and there was a lot of that going on. It was like, well, everybody helping each other out. It was a really it was a bit of a golden period, I'd say.
And how important do you think Nottingham was for Crazy P as an influence?
Yeah, I think it was in the early days especially very important, because it was what, I mean, you know, going back to basics, it's where me and Jim met, you know, at college, and then we met a lot of the people that we continue to have a musical relationship with, like Matt, the drummer, Matt Close, who was on my course, and there was a lot of creativity around that time, kind of late 90s, early 90s.
Yeah, with DIY on the sort of circumference, which gave us a focus, I think, because it was, you know, you could see what they were doing and sort of see what everybody was doing, and it felt like we're all sort of aiming in the same direction, and it was, you know, DIY. It was like I say, it was a focus. We used to go out a lot then. You know, we used to be hearing a lot of house music, and it was. What
were your favourite spots in town?
Well, I mean, we were lucky enough to have James Bailey at the forefront of promoting. So I mean, we had the Bomb. Before that, obviously Venus, but and then after that, Essence he opened, and they were all great venues with great. You know, he was booking great people. And include, you know, and to be fair to him, he gave us he gave us the local lads a fair shout at it as well. We used to play the back room at the Bomb, you know, a fair bit. He used to let us get on with it in there, and you know, it is important, I think, you know, even now, keeping abreast of what's going on around you musically. And we were definitely doing that. You know, we were out every weekend, and if we weren't out, we were in here.
Exactly, and that's the good inspiration. It's a very similar story with myself and Back to Basics. I was DJing there, and you know, it was fed from the club. Saturday nights was the goal for the week. What can we make a track that we wanted to hear the next week on the Saturday?
Yeah, it's a good.
And you get into the studio, like you say, maybe a little tired, a little worse for wear on the Monday, and by Tuesday you're picking it up, and by Wednesday, Thursday you've got a banging track on the board.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah.
Didn't always happen that way, but
that's one of those like rare when the plan comes together moments. But yeah.
So fundamentally, Crazy Pete was founded in Nottingham.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I met Toddy. We were on separate courses, but we met through a mutual friend, and it was really at that point. So it would have been 95, would it? 96.
Yeah.
Which was really again a great spot for UK music. 2020 Vision, paper recordings.
Yeah, we were all joined up, and I very much was, you mentioned in our nights, and the nights had drop music as well.
Yeah,
and we were very much, we did see ourselves as like a UK house music collective, and there was classic in London, as you said, paper in Manchester. Newphonic was very much part of it, and we were even, I mean, the press even like pitched us as the new sound of the UK.
It was, but it was a different sound.
It was a different sound
to the US stuff,
to the US, and Italians at the time. And there was also French sing, German sing. I agree.
There was a real footprint at that point.
Yeah.
And we were, we both had made music in a fledgling way, in a sort of basic way, and we sort of bonded over, buying old records, sample. I mean, at that point, pretty much all we had was a sampler. Yeah. So, buying old records and sampling them was something that we really got into, and up early on a Sunday for car boot sales. And,
Car boot sales.
Yeah, exactly. We did that that was basically the first two albums. A lot of the stuff we did over that period. And then we just got hanging out and just and then got into more of the nightlife scene around here, and it just progressed from there.
Yeah, I've always felt that Crazy P was its own entity, though. I mean, I think you've never just been house music. There's a lot of disco roots in there, and the band roots, and even like bits of indie, and it's you're songwriters. Fundamentally, you're songwriters. I think you kind of stood out from a lot of the house music production by being a band, and you could producers that could also make albums, and you'd had like a good couple of albums out before you got to 2020 Vision. I mean, what was the first process behind the first album? And that was the two of you producing it.
Well, the very first one. Yeah, I mean, it was as Jim alluded to, it was
samples.
Without sort of being too detrimental, it was kind of an album of re-edits, with a bit of keyboards and guitar played over the top.
Yeah.
It was quite. I still look back on it. It was a creative sort of time of finding stuff that collage stuff. Putting different little snippets of stuff together, but like Jim said, we didn't have any equipment back then. You really did rely on the sampler to, we did anyway, to get sort of sounds.
Dance music, it's such a crucial part of equipment.
But you're learning all the time. So you're learning on the job, and I don't really think even that we look back fondly on those early days, and they were important. But I think if we were honest, it wasn't until perhaps Stop Space Return and beyond that we really found our confidence and found our skin.
I think Night and Earth definitely was a big album.
It was turning
out. I think that's the point when I became really kind of aware of
I mean,
Crazy
Night and Earth
P.
was.
I think that's a great album. Looking back, because I do dig back into the archives and listen to things, and I think that's a great album, and it is important then obviously for everybody to understand this. So founded in Nottingham, then obviously Danielle Moore is. I think a lot of people. That's why I made that point, because quite a lot of people still think, they're from Manchester, aren't they? Or sometimes people think you're from Bristol, but that's that Nottingham base. And then how did it come about that you met Danny?
I moved to Manchester for a short while, and with Tim, the bass player, and we just started to get to know people around town. We started going to the Electric Chair,
the Electric Chair connection,
and going to nights in town, and we soon met a group of friends. They lived in this massive house in Heaton Moor, which is sort of near Stockport End, and the house had about like 10 bedrooms, and it was after every night everybody would go back there, and Danny lived there, and she was just I mean, there was always loads of people around, but she always cut through. You know, she was, you know, she liked the centre of attention, and she was often the centre of attention at those afters. But you know, also, it's like she loved to dance. You could see she loved. You know, she'd already been DJing herself, and we just didn't know the final part of the chain was whether, you know, could she sing, you know, because and when we spoke to her, she'd done a little bit of singing, so it was like we were looking to expand what we were doing, because we tried to do some live stuff, which ended up sort of like, you know, a poor man's Orbital, you know, without the crap glasses, you know, trapped behind a load of samplers. And coming from musical backgrounds, it was I think it was key. We wanted to expand it, and meeting Dannii was kind of the start of the band in that sense.
So did you approach her and say, "Listen, we're looking for a vocalist"?
Yeah,
oh, really?
But I mean, it was like, you know, you used to look at her, you know, like I remember we had a house party. I used to live in this place called Wingate Road, and we set the decks up in the front room, and you know, everybody hangs out at kitchens at parties, and this was the case. This was, I was DJing to nobody, and I didn't really know Dannii, and she sort of came in and just didn't really say anything, but just started cutting the rug on her own and started dancing on her own. And I was that's when I sort of started getting to, you know, chatting to her, and it just, I don't know, it's a well-used word, but synergy, there's a bit of synergy there, you know, it's the right place, right time.
A lot of synergy.
And
but it's her character and her dancing and these after hours culture and the you know, being part of the house music community.
It's so how many things sort of happen in the afters, you know, the venues or wherever you end up after the parties, you know, it's a story that happens quite a lot.
Yeah,
you know?
Oh, absolutely. And it's again, it's a bit, I can totally relate to it. It's totally a parallel to the Back to Basics story. In our farmhouse where I lived was the after party, and the decks were in my bedroom. So sometimes I get back from the club. By the time I'd even got back from the club and packed my stuff up, there was like a row of cars down this farm track like a rave, and there was people already on the decks in my bedroom, and you wouldn't get them off to, like, you know.
I mean, Heaton Moor was like that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, you know, you used to be sat in it was hilarious. I mean, like, and also the DJs who were playing in town used to go back there and play, you know. So yes, have top quality people, you know, coming back and playing, and sort of it was really. It was
after hours culture all through the summer. It's going to run and run.
It was, but just go back to Dannii. I mean, it became clear pretty quick. The first writing session we had with her, it was clear that even though she hadn't had much experience, she could do it.
Talent,
you know. And
what was the first song you worked on?
It was You Started Something, for Paper. And
what a great title for the first song.
But it came together so quick, and it was it was like it was definitely a light bulb moment. That was this is going to really work.
Yeah. And how did that progress to the live show that you were talking about? Was that quick, immediate? Was it take a while to develop?
It was fairly quickish, I think. I think I remember, because I think once we'd kind of got established that Danielle was, you know, could be a sort of
force for the band,
a force, and also something a bit more permanent. Then we quickly kind of got Matt and Tim, who'd already been. I mean, Tim had been involved in bits and bobs even right from the start. Matt was an old college mate who'd always been in touch and been involved in little bits and pieces. So that was kind of a no-brainer, really, to get them on board. And I think, was it the George V place in Brixton?
Really famous.
With Lulu.
Yeah.
That's our first, I think it might have been our first gig, that. Okay. And then we had, that was before Matt, actually. We had Mav on percussion then, didn't we? It was,
I remember
Matt was slightly...
He used to play them people as well. I'm thinking, Mav?
Mav used to play at Cream in Liverpool.
Yeah, Cream, then he ended up playing...
I don't think... No, you're thinking Shovel, are you? For
Shovel, of course it's Mav.
I
do remember Mav.
Mav was very much just... He was at the club a lot. And I think we met him through Fat Phil Cooper. He was pretty instrumental in our early career in terms of getting us record deals and helping us out, and we met Mav through him, and again we just got on great with him. And so that first gig Toddy's referring to, I remember Maurice Fulton was DJing after us in full drag, because he used to, I don't know if Maurice used to get Maurice used to sort of dress up a bit and get makeup and that sort of thing. So he was on after us. I mean, there are some photos that exist of that. gig, and it's like, you know, we looked like rabbits in the headlights.
Well,
yeah, we were. I mean, I don't think I even had a sustain pedal for my Wurlitzer keyboard. Such I didn't know what I was doing.
Just left on.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, do I need one? Well, yeah, you do. No. But I mean, at that point, I was just trying to get a noise out of the thing. So it was. But yeah, I mean, again, it didn't take long for Danny to show her credentials in terms of performance. And,
no. Just so magic on stage.
Yeah, even from that second one, you know. And then it was just a case of sort of trying to fine-tune it. And Matt the drummer came in just after that. But like Toddy said, Toddy'd worked with Toddy on his course and we both played with him. And it was just like an automatic. He used to come and watch us play anyway, so it was like... It was an easy grab-in for him. And and then
suddenly you're a band.
Yeah, and then we were really getting going then.
Yeah, and that was that. Yeah, and that kind of really sort of that the band and the live shows quickly became, with Danny at the front, became very much the identity of, you know, people perceived Crazy P. So
yeah, absolutely, and that's the unit, that's the band that came to 2020 Vision from After Paper, and the first album of two. That you made was very much as that band, as that unit.
It was,
right?
Yeah. We purposefully, a lot of the recording was done next door, and we purposely set up. We had lots of writing sessions with the band, so a lot of it was done as a whole. A few of the tracks, like Stop Space Return, was more the free me, Jim, and Danielle. But we were. It was a time when we just, I mean, you probably tell this a bit better, Jim, but when we moved, we spent a few years really trying to write radio sort of friendly singles, and
were you trying to be a pop act?
I think our management at the time were trying to push us in that direction as well, because A Night on Earth, we had several different guest vocalists, and this idea that Groove Armada were doing the same sort of thing. I think our manager at the time was thinking,
next
Groove
Armada.
that sort of thing. And you know, when you're trying to make your way in music and money's tight, it's you know, you look at these things, which we did for a short while. And we were courted by, you know, big labels who'd offered us some, you know, significant amounts of money. But just before Stop Space Return, it was, I think it was a collective decision to just sort of saddle it off. And
do what you wanted to.
We didn't fit with any of it, you know. I remember Danny came in. He said, "If you look at the label, I won't mention, but she said, you know, have you had a look at the website? Just go on and have a look at the website." And I went on there, and it was just an instant turn off. It was like we just don't fit into any of this.
Want to be a part of it.
Yeah, you know, this is not us at all. So I think, you know, Toddy's right. It was the start of.
They lost our game.
Yeah, well, but also, I mean, just once we started, it was a turning point. We started writing music for ourselves essentially, and I think it's sort of, if we had gone down that commercial route, I don't know whether we'd still. You know, I think it'd be here because we've gone under the radar. We've just kind of done our thing.
Well, the label you're not mentioned, as far as I know, aren't here.
So, that's true. That's true. So that shows you.
Yeah, it can be a little bit flavour of the month.
Yeah. So we started Stop Space Return. There's a few different flavours on there which we wouldn't have probably entertained before. You know, tracks like Fascination have got very much an indie kind of edge to them. And that sort of, again, that was reflected in probably what we were listening to as well. You know, more bandy sounding stuff, you know, more indie sounding stuff. So between Stop Space Return and When We On, this confidence was growing, and this sort of, this, you know, dare I say, fuck it, let's just do it, you know. Let's not worry about, let's do it for us. And if we like it, then
and in each track you go into the studio with clear heads. There's no like, we don't have to make a hit, we don't have to make a house track, we don't have to make a down tempo track. We're just going to go in. What's going to come out
that's exactly
that day is going to, and that's such a, and that's the place to be for as a creative place for musicians. You know, if you can get there, it's a magical thing. And you've obviously been very, you know, strict at being in that space when you get to the studio, and that these beautiful pure results, like a bit of indie, a bit of this, bit of that, comes out, you know, naturally for people's, I guess, inspirations and musical subjectivity. You know, what you like.
We just wanted to expand what we were doing. And because we were expanding, as our knowledge was expanding and what we were listening to was get different. and we became a lot less narrow when we were making music. We were, you know, miking umbrellas up, and you know, we were just looking at what was around us and just thinking, right, let's get a sound out of this, you know, and you know, 5 years before, we'd never have considered it. You know, it was very, you know, we were quite blinkered, it was the start of us definitely finding our place in things. I think.
So you brought Stop Space Return to 2020 Vision, and at the time we had a label manager called Andy Whitaker, who was a very important part and instrumental in, I think, you know, being you go between, I guess, between myself as a DJ, label owner, and the band. We also had a whole family in the office at the time, actually, that was all still connected to Crazy P. Bonner from PBR Street Gang was in there on remixes and helping get the band some remixes. My wife Jane was on PR and press, and you know, it was very much a kind of like little community that we built around the album, with everyone really kind of, you know, jumping into.
I think we felt the love. Yeah, we definitely did, didn't we?
Where can we go with this? And it was different. What you think as a label perspective, it was different for 2020 Vision as well, because we didn't have. I mean, you were our first proper band, you know. So dealing with, and then that's, I can say now, but I mean, I was definitely out of my comfort zone. But you know, obviously we blagged it, but it was definitely in a good way. I think everyone has to be out of their comfort zone a little bit. Okay, this is actually, now we're involving 5 people for a start. We're involving touring, videos, you know, management, you know, the collective decisions. I mean, things become quite important. It becomes that everything is a bit of a process, and you know, that was quite a stepping stone for 2020 Vision as a label to have Crazy P and Stop Space Return as an album and as our first major band, really. So it was all a bit of a voyage of discovery, you know, between us, I think.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, we were both sort of, you know, kind of.
I mean, we come out of a period of uncertainty, really.
Yeah.
But you gave us
had some bad experiences with
we felt good about the whole thing, and you were really behind the whole thing. And like you say, you know, you did let us get on with it. You know, and that's an important thing for us. And so it just felt like a really good matchup.
Yeah, and from Stop Space Return, the title track, it's still, and it became its own entity. It just went off into the universe and became just such a firm favourite. Even like, I'm not sure what the live shows like this year or next year, but even last year, you know, it's still very much a firm favourite to play live, but as well as DJ. Crazy P, for people who don't know, can exist in 3 formats: in the full live band, Crazy P sound system, Crazy P DJ set, and you know, you can hear it across everything. It's pretty consistently played, and you know, there's so many tracks. I mean, there's so many tracks that would be great to focus on from Crazy P on 2020 Vision, but we've chosen Stop Space Return to go a little bit deeper, to tell the story behind the track. And you know, that's one of the reasons why we're here. We've come down to Wollaton Street, the studio where it was basically recorded. Essentially recorded. Yeah. Well, let's dig into that. Let's find out the story behind it all. And it'd be nice to kind of like break it down, deconstruct it, and see what the various elements and parts were. And you know, in the place where the you know, it's been the kind of birthplace of it all, really. You know, that would be, it would be good. It'd be nice to dive in.
Let's do it. So we got the arrangement up. The first good news is it came straight up. After many years, you wouldn't usually expect it. It looks like it's all there. The second thing was, it's just quite shocking how little's in it.
Yeah.
I mean, generally speaking, me and Chris are famous for throwing the kitchen sink at it in terms of putting stuff in. But I think this one, probably, we were guided by the 303 part.
Yeah, and it was it was an acid tune, wasn't it? Really, it was kind of, it was really, that was the starting point. We managed to contain our urges to throw the kitchen sink at it.
Well, the 303 was running it, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, and that's why it's still just as effective. But yeah, I mean,
and the 303 involved. Obviously, we've got a merged bit of audio here, but do you remember about, was it Simon Mills's 303 that we used?
Yeah, so I think this is my recollection, it was originally done on a base station, then Simon, who used to have the studio adjacent to us, I think, and he had a real 303, you know.
I mean, Simon had all the gear,
he did,
didn't he?
He
I mean, he had
and plenty of ideas.
Yeah, he had a Fairlight, he had an emulator in there, he had all sorts in there. It was like a gold mine when he used to walk in there, but he was very generous with it as well. He's a top guy.
So
what was it you were saying before about the chord for the?
Yeah, so from what I remember, so it was like Andre, another old Wollaton studio
from
guy
Smooth. Yeah.
I remember him showing me a chord one day, and it was like I think it's like a B minor ninth or 11th.
He was famous for his jazzy inversions,
and he said, "Oh, yeah, use this. This is really nice." And it was that basically, and it's some inversion of a B ninth or 11th.
So those were the notes.
Those were the notes, and I just started playing it as an arpeggio. So it was like if I just turn the thingy down. And that became the bass line, and then it was just a case because it was the first time we used a 303, just working out how to program that into the because programming those are real sods.
Yeah,
then you had to go on the 303, and this is an old 303, so it wasn't a case of plugging it into a computer and being able to draw the notes in. This is actually programming it.
I remember it taking a fair while, but I mean,
once we had that running.
Once we had it, then it's everything. We built everything around that.
And I think I'm not sure when the vocals kind of came in, but I mean the hook. Again, this is another my
drums are very simple. There's like a kick and a snare part and a sample with the claps on.
I think they were Lindrum sounds, weren't they?
They were Lindrum sounds.
Well, the kick was a Lindrum anyway.
So yeah, very simple hi-hat pattern on top of the clap sample.
That little moog thriller thing. So.
A little two-note bass thing. So it's very, very simple.
A few little cut-up samples there, wasn't there?
And then just coming up, we've got your infamous guitar synth part, which we had some fun with that. Was it off the bass pod?
That was, because it was the same sound that he used for Lady T.
Yeah.
So it's a bass synth. It's on the bass pod, which does this very one-trick pony thing, but it's a great thing. It's characterful. You can't get it from, it's unique.
It's a synth, but played like a guitar. So
So playing a guitar, it's converting it into a synth sound.
So that was quite an important part of it. And beyond that, you got a high string, which we always, if in doubt, stick a high string in it. And then everything else is really vocal, Danielle's vocal. Now, usually in these situations, she would have started off with a melody, wouldn't she? Whilst we were coming up with it, but my memory's hazy.
I think that the hook came first, so that when we were trying to recall this earlier. So it was my recollection is that Danny was on the computer operating it and wanted to get the cursor back to the beginning, and I was in the kitchen and I said something like, "Oh, it's stop space return," which it kind of is. And then I think you twigged on and said, "Hey man, that's the title."
And the rest,
the rest is
house music history. Unbelievable stuff.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that came first, and I suspect that Danny probably went away and wrote the verses and came back in to another session. But it's we're talking of a good 18 years ago, so my memory is
we've done well so far. I mean, a great, really strong vocal identity from Danny. And I think what's obviously one of the reasons why it became such a big song for us, the hook line, but also, you know, some great verses, very simple, very sort of straightforward, but all the bits doing their jobs wonderfully.
Yeah, and like Ralph said earlier, it's been a staple in all the sets, hasn't it? From live to the sound system.
A bit of a beatbox part here.
So yeah, this is the... It's cut up a bit of you, I think, isn't it? It's
it is,
you, and then there's another bit of you at the end as well.
But I mean, apart from the parts we've just... oh, yeah, I mean, there's also the... I should probably draw attention to the crap sax, which I used to love that... who did it? Devotion. Is it Mike? Nomad. I used to love that vibrato on the sax, and I think that was probably sort of inspiration for that. But like
just listening and learning to slow down this journey. Stop space return.
so yeah, that was probably my Nomad my tribute. That little bit of sax. Just noticed there as well. There's a canny little bit. I think where we slowed down his vocals down.
Oh yeah. The
Yeah.
What was that? Was that a...
To slow down this journey.
I think it was pitch shifter, which we obviously moved. Trying to be clever. Yeah. So I mean that sort of basically covers it. It was a. I think this was probably at the start of the Stop Space Return sessions, wasn't it? I remember it coming quite early on.
Yeah. But it was the three of us. Yeah. I mean, a lot of the album is the band, but this is one. I mean, there's a bit of hi-hats from that, but it's from another tune, isn't it?
Yeah.
But
we're good at recycling.
Yeah. But it was a studio moment between the three of us, which was very enjoyable.
Yeah, nice looking back on it.